Welcome everyone on this gray day before another impending storm. Well, that's all right. We'll find things to do tomorrow, right? My name is Margie McNally. I'm a licensed interior designer and a certified aging in place specialist. And I've been working with senior communities for just about 2 years now. I actually got my CAP certification during COVID because I saw the need with my own mom, who's 94 years old and still drives and still lives in an independent cottage. She's quite remarkable, but I saw some needs in her environment that I started to work on when I lived with her for a couple of months during COVID. And so I thought, this is got to be the norm out there, with places that are not safe, don't have proper lighting, not great space planning. So I delved into it and helped her modify her space, and then now I'm doing it for other people as well. So I love doing these presentations because sometimes you can take home a lot of information that you can do yourself. And so without further ado, let me just talk a little bit about, now I'm going to flip over here to change my slides because all my notes are here. So how many of you have heard about universal design? The term universal design. Okay. So accessibility laws like the Architectural Barriers Act, Section 504, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the Fair Housing Act Amendments, 1988, and the Americans with Disabilities Act, which you've probably heard more about, ADA, in 1990. These established minimum requirements that protect people with disabilities from discrimination in the built environment. So this Ron Bass, he was an architect, and his partner, Ruth Hall Lusher, saw the need to reevaluate using legal mandates to ensure usability by people with disabilities. So this is like, I'm going to basically tell you the premise of universal design. Not that this applies to you, but this is where we're kind of going with socioeconomic design and just making environments safe and accessible to all people. So they based it on the fact that the environment could be much more accessible than the minimum requirements of the law required if designers focused on improving function for a larger range of people. So at the broadest level, universal design is concerned with designing for diversity and equity. So the principles of universal design were developed by a team of U.S. experts organized by the Center on Universal Design at North Carolina State University in the 1990s. And accompanied by a set of guidelines for each principle, they were a valuable tool for clarifying universal design for early adopters and are still widely used today. So the 7 principles of universal design are equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive, perceptible information, tolerance of error, low physical effort, and size and space approach. Size and space for approach and use. And you can find all of that anywhere if you Google it. So let's just briefly, talk about each principle. So the principle equitable use is the design is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. So basically what this means is your body fit, which means accommodating a wide range of body sizes and abilities. So something like this image of a woman getting on a train with a baby, she still needs to have that accessible to her as much as someone in a wheelchair does. Oops. And then principle 2 is flexibility in use. This is about comfort, keeping demands within desirable limits of body function. So it's the design accommodating a wide range of individual preferences and abilities. So right-handed, left-handed, somebody has a different preference. Principle 3 is simple and intuitive use. So this is awareness, ensuring that critical information for use is easily perceived. It's basically the use of design to understand, regardless of the user's experience, the knowledge, language skills, or current concentration level. So this they don't have to think too much before they see what they need to do or what they have to, and you'll see that in some of the examples as we go along. Principle 4 is perceptible information. This is understanding. This is making methods of operation and use intuitive, clear, and unambiguous. So these are signs like in subway stations with little symbols so people know where they're going, or what they call wayfinding. So maybe in a hospital, you'd be in an area where it would have color-coded strips along the wall so that you'd know what section you're in and where you're headed. Principle 5 is tolerance of error. So this is about wellness, and it's about contributing to health promotion, avoidance of disease, and prevention of injury. So what we want to do is prevent tripping hazards like flooring, slippery flooring. We see a lot of people have accidents, slips and falls on flooring that doesn't have a good tread on it. Principle 6 is low physical effort. So this is about the design that can be used efficiently and comfortably and with a minimum degree of fatigue. So it doesn't take a lot of effort. How about when you open something now, like a package like this? Or twisting a bottle. Like my mom can't really open anything anymore without really having to grip it or cut it with a scissors or something. So packaging is a huge thing, and I'm finding it myself. Like sometimes I can't even open like a jar of pickles or something. They've like got it, so it's got to be accessible and decrease the fatigue that you face when you're trying to use something. And then universal design principle 7 is size and space of approach and use. So this is basically talking about accessibility to, say, seating or a reach, like within reach, regardless of your user's body size, posture, and mobility. So like doorways should be at least 34 inches wide for clear space. Clearances, door handles should be 34 to 38 inches from the floor, and hallways and passageways should be like a 42-inch clear minimum. So my mom lives in a cottage in a community in Mansfield, and when we were at her home trying to find out why things are just so difficult for her, we noticed that the microwave is designed to be mounted over the range. And I don't even think she's 5 feet tall anymore. I think she's shrunk. She's like 4'11". And so for her to be able to take a hot plate out of that microwave above her head is not safe. So some of those things we'll talk about today. How do we make those better and more accessible for people? And we'll look at them room by room. So my question to you is, what do you love about your home? And what is not so great? Are there areas in your home that are just uncomfortable or drafty, or maybe you have rugs that you're kind of tripping on all the time? Take a look at your own home and try to, as we go through this presentation room by room, try to think about some areas of the home that might be causing you difficulty and how they could be improved. A 2010 AARP, you all know what AARP is, a survey of adults over the age of 65 found that almost 90% of the people want to remain in their home for as long as they are able. And 80% anticipated permanently living in their current residence. So we all want to stay in our home. My mom wants to stay in her little cottage in Mansfield. It's absolutely adorable. She still drives, not much to my dismay, but she still drives, and so she has a little car in a garage, And it's an open floor plan. She downsized from a bigger home in Whitman. And it's very accessible. There's no basement to worry about. There's no stairs. Everything's on one level. So it's really safe. So my goal is to keep her there as long as possible, because the alternative is to moving into an assisted living, which can be very costly, or a nursing home, which we don't want to see. So unfortunately, I'm 10 minutes away from her, so I can buzz over there if she needs me. She sees me 3, probably 4 times a week. And she has community events. And so that's really the ideal, is to be able to stay in your home if you have the right setup and the right arrangement and you have activities, as long as you're not isolated all by yourself. Like a place like this is fabulous to have activities going on that you can get to. So let's take a look at our homes room by room. So in the kitchen, cabinetry in the kitchen that allows a person to work in a seated position is a great feature. So that would be like if you were designing a new home, you would design for universal design, which would be, maybe you don't need to sit down and cook your scrambled eggs now, but years to come, you might be wanting to do that. So maybe a cooktop that can be adjustable, or another level of the countertop that might be accessible in a seated position. That's something you'd want to think about. My mom doesn't have that in her unit. It's a very small kitchen, but what we did was we installed these stainless steel rollout shelves. I have a catalog over there of items that are available, and they can be incorporated into the kitchen cabinets as they are. So unfortunately, she broke her pelvis in 2018 trying to get something out of a lower cabinet, and she lost her balance and fell backwards. So that can happen. So we put these in, and it's a game changer. She can literally open the cabinet and pull out these racks, and everything is accessible to her. Non-glare surfaces in the kitchen. So, shiny marble, granite countertops are beautiful, but they can pose a lot of problems if you have glare, if you have some light shining on them. Contrasting colors to promote good perception and edges of boundaries. So that's a good thing to have for people that have a low vision ability, to be able to see where the countertop and where the cabinets end. So maybe if the cabinets are like a maple, then maybe the countertop is like a brighter color or a darker color. And then clear floor space of at least 30 inches by 48 inches in front of all appliances, fixtures, and cabinetry. So that's kitchens. And there's more, like I'll talk a little bit more about lighting as we go along. This is a real interesting configuration for lower cabinets. They're not really doing, like when people are designing kitchens now, a lot of people are opting for drawers instead of the doors, because basically you open these lower doors and then you can't get to what's in there unless you stoop down. Like I said, my mom was trying to bend down and fell backwards. So now drawers are very common in kitchen design, basically just wide drawers with these peg systems for putting dishes and shelving, within 28 to 48 inches of the space. And then check this out. So my mom has spices in her cabinets, and she has to reach, and she likes to get on a step stool, and I'm always like, don't do it. So we've tried to arrange all of the things that she uses a lot on those lower shelves that are within reach. But if you do have more things than you need to get to, then they have these adjustable racks that bring the shelf right to you. So those are great to have, and those are also in that Rev-A-Shelf cabinet. And sometimes you think, well, how expensive are these things to incorporate? They can be really moderately priced. Like the racks that we did for the lower cabinets, I think they were like maybe $100 each. My brother was kind enough to install them because he's really good at that kind of stuff. It was well worth it. but you might have to hire a contractor or a handyman to put those in, and depending on what their charges are, I'm sure. But it's definitely worth it, like to do something like as moderate as that, to have these accessible shelves. And then we want to talk about handles in the kitchen, something that you don't have to grip. Again, we don't want to have to find our way to knobs and things that you have to really grip your hand. And I'm finding it myself, that I just can't grip the things I used to grip. So these cup-shaped handles, or the D-shaped ones, they're just like a very thin D-shaped knob. So without gripping, we want to avoid gripping. And then when we talk about lighting is one of the key things for kitchens, in all the whole home actually, but especially in the kitchen. If you're preparing food and cutting, you really want to have lighting on the countertop. So these inexpensive LED, everything's LED now. Used to be halogen, xenon, and you'd burn your hand on the light because it was so hot. Or the things inside your cabinet would heat up. If you had chocolate there, forget it. It would be melted chocolate because the lights used to get so hot. So now with LED technology, it runs cool, energy efficient, no mercury. You don't have to worry about disposal of the product when it's at the end of its useful life. So LED under cabinet lighting. Again, you could probably do a kitchen, like a galley kitchen like this one, for about maybe a few $100s, and then in your installation, whatever your electrician charges. So maybe like a small kitchen you could probably do for $700 or $800. And it's well worth it, because there are required levels of lighting from the Illuminating Engineering Society. It's a big governing agency for the lighting industry, and they publish recommended foot candle, I don't want to get too technical, but foot candle levels are like the measure of light. So right now you don't buy watts anymore. If you go to buy a light bulb at the store, you used to go out and buy a 100-watt light bulb, but now it's lumens. Everything is lumens. So you have to know what lumens are, how they are equivalent to wattage. So the IES comes out with recommended lighting levels for senior living, for bedrooms, for kitchens, and basically it's 30 to 50 foot candles, which you won't understand that until you understand the lumens, but say like an 800 lumen fixture, which might be equivalent to like a 60 or 75 watt bulb. So all of this gets translated into how much lighting you actually need, and you can pretty much tell by your own eyes. Like, you know that if you're sitting in a chair and you're trying to read and there's not a good task light next to you, your eyes are strained and you can't see the print on the page and you get headaches. So lighting is really important, and that's one of the areas that I specialize in. I have installers, I have electricians that I work with, and I have a lot of products available for lighting. So that is the kitchen. And then bathroom. Now this is an area that is really important to be safe. We need access to at least one full bath on the main floor with reinforced walls at the toilets and tubs for future installation of grab bars. So my dad unfortunately passed away at age 59 of lung cancer. And we lived in a lovely Garrison Colonial in Milton, but it had just a half bath on the first floor. So when he went through, he had a hospital bed brought in in his final weeks, but there was no bathroom for him on the first floor other than a sink, a very small, tiny bathroom other than a sink and a toilet. So moving forward, when you're redesigning or building, say you're putting on an in-law apartment or something, always have a full bathroom on the first level is really important. And then what you want to do is you want to reinforce the walls around the toilet and the back of the toilet so that there's blocking if you don't have grab bars now. And I just put one in. My mom, this image here is my own bathtub, and my mom comes over to stay with me. She doesn't have a bathtub in her unit. They didn't put them in because they don't consider them safe. And so they don't put them in this community that she's in, and she misses it. She loves taking a hot bath. So she'll come to my place and we'll do the hot bath thing there. But I put this grab bar in, and I felt so much more secure knowing that she was in there and she has something to really hold on to. But you have to have blocking behind that wall. You have to have a good solid basic blocking, because otherwise it could loosen and fall out, and then that would be a disaster. So we made sure that we had the stud, the blocking there. That was really inexpensive to install. They sell these grab bars. They have the fancy Ponte Giulio Italian grab bars with all different colors that I've brought a catalog for. Or you can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, as long as it's approved. It has like a certain clearance behind it. But that gave me a lot of peace of mind knowing that, the first time she came over and I didn't have one, I was outside the door. Are you okay? Let me know when you're getting out. Nobody wants us to have to be helped out of a tub, so we had that put in, and I felt much more secure when I knew that she was okay. And then what we want to have is this is pretty standard in any kind of environment for aging in place, is the vertical and the horizontal grab bars, and a seat inside the shower. Some of them are real fancy. Some of them are cushioned if you want a cushion in there. And the other thing, again, without using a bathtub or having a bathtub, is these curbless shower installations. So now they can take your full bath, your regular standard bathtub, and they can cut what they call a, well, I guess it's like a curbless shower, but they just cut the tub so that you can walk into it without having to step over it. You eliminate your bathtub basically. But if you have a standard bathtub, there's a company in Attleboro that can, this is Home Team Accessibility. That's the photo of what they've done to make the bathtub accessible and safer. And then again, that Italian line, if you want to get fancy and have sinks and counters and the bath clearance underneath. So if you were in a wheelchair, and it can happen to any of us, it can happen in 10 seconds. Like all of a sudden you're fine, and then the next thing you know, you're in a wheelchair. Or last summer, I sprained my ankle right after golf, not golfing, but after golf, just twisted it, and I was in a boot for like a month. So I was wishing that I didn't have a second floor to have to go up and down. So it can happen anytime. So that we should always have a design that's accessible. And this just allows you to groom in a seated position. And then other bathroom issues would be lighting. Again, lighting beside the mirror, not one over your head that's going to shadow your face, but the best way to light a bathroom mirror is one light on each side of the mirror, no more than 3 feet apart at eye level. So if you're shaving, you want that light to be hitting both sides of your face. General ambient light, a shower light is great to have, like a wet rated shower recessed light. And bath ventilation also is really important. You want to make sure that you're taking all that moisture out of the air to prevent too much moisture and mold buildup. And then hallways. So hallways, again, passageways with about 42 inches of clear minimum are better. So if you did have someone come into your house, and that's called livability. The term livability means that you live in a home that anyone could come and visit you and have accessibility. So if you had a friend that had a wheelchair, they could come over and there would be a 0-step clearance. That's not always possible if you have stairs in front of your home. But at least if they're in the home, they can go down the hallway, and it's 42 inches wide minimum. Light switches, 24 to 48 from the finished floor. And again, these little night lights. So that light that you see in that, this is called the snap power guide light. So if you had a dark hallway, You could really just switch out, and these are really inexpensive, you could just switch out the plate for the duplex outlet, and there's an LED light built into it. So the strip along the bottom has LED coming out to give you the guidance and the light along your path, and it's photo sensor. So once the hallway is dark, it goes on, and then when the sun comes up and it's a lot of daylight coming into the room, or if you turn on an overhead light, it goes off. Really energy efficient, very inexpensive to install. You can do it yourself. You just take off the original duplex outlet and put that on. And these are all things that are available on Amazon. And then we want to talk about our 3-foot travel path and 5-foot turning radius. So at least 3 feet, 42 is better to have this access to spaces. And then a good 5-foot turning radius if someone was in a wheelchair, or if you were in a wheelchair, you could turn around. Like a bathroom technically should have a 5-foot circle turning radius within the bathroom so that you can move around and go out very easily. You want to select furniture with shallow seating for easy movability. So if you're in a sofa, you don't want to be like into the sofa that you can't get up. You want to be able to have your feet on the floor and be able to get up easily. And they do have those chairs now that kind of push you forward, but I've heard different things on those. I think they're great, but I think it also reduces your ability, like it weakens the muscles in your leg if you're dependent on those all the time. So a better design would be to have a sofa that has more of a shallow seat so you can get up and out of it easier. We want to secure rugs with tape to prevent trips and falls. You can have area rugs, but you want to make sure you have like a strip of double-sided tape. They sell it especially for rugs so that they don't stick to the wood floor, so that you're not tripping on that rug edge. And then eliminating clutter. Clutter is a big tripping hazard. If I have a neighbor that has a lot of things in her place and she's got everything along the stairs coming down, like stuff she wants to bring upstairs, and so she just puts it there. And, you know, she's close to 80, and I said, you know, that's a tripping hazard. If you were to come downstairs and it wasn't light enough, you might trip on those books. Or so try to reduce as much clutter as you can. Plus, reducing clutter is better for our minds. I think when we have a nice, neat environment, our minds are clearer too. And then living room flooring. So again, trips and falls are common for anyone. And so I don't know, you've all heard that the story about Bob Saget, and he was in that hotel in Orlando. And I guess he fell. He must have fallen in the bathroom and got up groggily, went back to bed, and, you know, passed away from his head injury. And all I could think of in that was, you know, a beautiful hotel. I think they showed pictures of the bathroom with the polished, beautiful polished marble floor. And all I could think of is it's got to be like just a wet, slippery floor. Or maybe he had socks on and he just like went in there and didn't think too much of the floor and just went right down. So flooring is really critical. You want to have, without getting too technical, you want to have a coefficient of friction rating on your flooring, so that they rate different flooring with a slip resistance factor. So if you went into a tile store, you could say, I want like a low coefficient of friction. Or maybe it's high, could be the higher. But there's certain ratings for ceramic tile, for vinyl flooring. Like this is like probably a luxury vinyl tile. And so that sometimes has a good little thread on it, so you can feel like it's not going to be slippery. It's got to be easy to clean. You want a flooring that's easy to clean, and solid surface flooring or hard flooring is much better for allergies and asthma. If you suffer from allergies and asthma, you're better off to have a floor that you can wash versus wall-to-wall carpeting. It's great to have an area rug. At least you can take it out and clean it. But wall-to-wall carpeting really harbors a lot of dust and dust mites. So you want to try to use the solid surface flooring as much as possible. even though it's not really warm feeling, but again, you can put an area rug, or now they're heating under the flooring. You can put like radiant floor heating under ceramic tile. Let's see what else. So the bedroom, again, into the bedroom, we want to have bedroom safety. And this is an example of a little night light that plugs right into your outlet, and it's motion activated. So you can color tune it. You can make it a little bit dimmer if you don't want it to be coming on too bright. So basically you plug this into a duplex outlet and it's off. And then when you come into the room or you get out of bed, it goes on. So you have your light all the way to the bathroom, come back, it's off again, it goes on again. When you step, any motion will set it off. And it only stays on for like 20 seconds. So I have these in my mom's home. So if she gets out of bed in the middle of the night, it'll come on so she's not walking in the dark, because nobody wants to put on a bright overhead light, right? And those are also available again on Amazon or mail order. Really inexpensive to get those. Okay, let's see where we are. Oh, so clutter again. Coming up with clutter-free. This was actually somebody I helped modify their space because they were having a guest for the weekend. And this is the guest room. I said, "Are you ready for your company this weekend?" And she said, "No, not really." And I said, "What do you got?" And she said, "Well, let me show you." So anyway, I just took a couple of hours and sorted and moved all of the clutter out of the way, and she was very happy. But decluttering is really a key thing. Like, you really don't want to have a lot of things on the floor that you're going to trip on or slip on a hanger or floor, clothes. You can slip and really hurt yourself. And then an area where you can organize your hobbies and any crafts and things that you do. You want to have an organized space for that type of thing. So in the bedroom, try to keep the clutter off the floor. And then again, they have, for closet storage, you want to have things within reach, but they do have these closet racks that pull down so that you can get to those things that are higher up. And not everyone can afford these custom closets. So the basic thing is to really have the things that you don't use that often, maybe your suitcases and stuff on the shelves up high, and be careful when you go to get them down, but like just trying to have your everyday things within reach, and shelves that are organized, and baskets that are marked and labeled. In laundry areas, the front loading washers and dryers are great because you don't have to reach in, and they're a lot more accessible, and you can put them up on the pedestals that they sell for them so that they're within reach. And then the garage, this is like getting into the basements and the garages of the home. Bright lighting always, motion lighting, good lighting in workshops where you might be working with tools. Stairs, always have lighting, good lighting at the top of the stairs and at the bottom of the stairs. And some of these products are available, at the home center stores, like lights with a motion, or outside lights. That's the next slide, I think, is outside lights with photo sensors. So once it gets dark, the lights go on, and so you always have security at your home. And LED does not burn a lot of energy, so it's okay to run the LED all night long. And that's your exterior lighting. So it's called dusk to dawn, or photo sensor lights that feature this technology. And then you can also have like motion activated lights. So lights that, like if someone's pulling up the driveway, the light goes on in the driveway. So that's a really great security measure. And so that's it for the home. And then just some of the questions again to ponder, like some of the things that you don't like about your home. Does anyone want to answer that question? Is there anything that comes top of mind that that you might not like about your home, and what do you want your home to be? Like, what activities or what do you spend most of your time doing? Do you like entertaining people? Do you like to just spend time by yourself reading? Do you have the proper lighting? If you have a nice stuffed chair that you sit in with your book, is there enough ample light there for you to read? And if you could wave a magic wand, what changes would you make to your current home? Any thoughts? Yes.
So I love my home. In a U shape,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be straight across. Big windows, and thankfully I'm not in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful, but if somebody went in there with a wheelchair, they would.
Okay, so we'll use this from now on. So what I heard you saying was that you live in a home, a raised ranch with steps,
Yes.
and you'd like it to be one level with big windows, U-shape.
Yes.
What else did I miss?
My bathroom upstairs, it's a beautiful bathroom, but you're not able to, you wouldn't be able to bring in a wheelchair
Right,
and turn around.
right, okay.
So, but it does have radiant floors, which I highly recommend. Having those little grids, if you do your bathroom over, it is just nirvana to step on a warm floor,
Yes.
as opposed to a rug.
So maybe there's a way to knock down a wall to make that bathroom bigger. A lot of people do that. Like if they have a 3-bedroom home, raised ranch or something like that, there might be a 3rd bedroom that can be, maybe make that 3rd bedroom smaller and then have the bathroom expanded so that it's more of a spa bathroom.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and definitely more windows. I think windows, daylight is key.
I mean, I love my windows that I have now.
Yes.
I'm decluttering too.
I have to give you this because they can't hear you on that. They're recording this session.
Oh, okay. So I am an advocate on decluttering. Decluttering is huge, and I retired last year, so I've pulled out everything that I could possibly pull out that I haven't looked at in 41 years. I was always organized, so I thought, but the things that you put in closets and cabinets and drawers, it's like mind-boggling. And so now I have researched places where you can donate. I know Savers in Norwood is huge, but there are so many other places like CDs and camera equipment and shoes and all sorts of places. So that's another thing that I want to do, is to try to find places that you can donate, and then I'm going to call these places and see if they can send me a free shipping label, and I might just go on to Walpole Recommends, and then everyone can bring their CDs over to my house.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I have 500 CDs plus, and now you can't even get a CD player, and nobody listens to CDs anyways.
Everybody's streaming music now. Yeah.
Yes. So I mean,
Yeah.
it
It can be overwhelming. So yeah, decluttering can be really overwhelming. And I have a lot of people in my network because now that I'm a certified aging in place specialist, I've joined all these networks and I meet people all the time that do home organization, decluttering, move management. If you're moving, they'll make sure that you move, seamlessly. They'll just help you like pack stuff up and downsize. And we had to do that with my mom too. Like we had to, and I got rid of a lot of her furniture on Facebook, believe it or not. Facebook, if you're on Facebook, they have a marketplace, and you can take a quick picture of whatever you're trying to get rid of and put a price on it or no price on it. You just got to be careful though, because people do want to come to your home. So I suggest that if you do offer something on Facebook and someone responds that they're interested in buying it or picking it up or taking it, you either go someplace and meet someone with the item, go with somebody, or I have them email me or text me as opposed to throwing your address out there on Facebook, because I'm not sure that chat, whether it's public or not. And always have somebody with you if they're coming to your home. But I've had great luck with that. But yeah, decluttering, it's amazing how much we accumulate over the years. So that's a big factor. Anyone else have any other thoughts on home environments and waving that magic wand? I think I'd like to, I have a townhouse condominium, which isn't great. It's not really designed very well as far as airflow and energy efficiency. So the top level is a loft with a ladder, if you will. And that's totally against code now. But some of them that were built in 1986 were made with these ladders, and it's just a completely useless space. I mean, it's heated because all the heat's going up there, and it's got carpeting up there, believe it or not. So it could be used as a bedroom, but it's not a real practical bedroom. So I'm sorry, I'm right behind you and you can't see me. Any other thoughts on home environments or spaces, or any questions? Do you have any questions for me? Yeah.
I do have a question on the...
I'm going to give you this back again.
Oh, I wrote it down here.
Look at, she's taking notes.
Oh, yes, I take notes all the time. So you had mentioned the walls. So if you were to put in a grab bar, how would you know if your wall had blocking behind it without hiring a contractor?
You have to find the stud, although I have to say I had a friend that helped me hang some shelves recently, and he said, do you have one of those stud finders?
Ah.
And I said, no, because you're here. No, I'm only kidding. I said, no, I don't have one of those, but he said, well, that's okay. We got a method for doing that. And I gave him a piece of string and a magnet, and he held it on the wall, and it found where the stud was, because every stud has a nail in it.
Oh.
So the magnet went right to the blocking, because there's a nail in that stud.
Wow.
And I said, wow, what an ingenious way to do it if you don't have the tool.
Can you get that at Home Depot?
Well, this was I literally gave him a piece of string and a magnet off my refrigerator. But you can find the stud finders at the home center stores, and that might be a more reliable way to do it, but he was able to find them. It's like he hung it, he just like draped it along the wall, and then the magnet went like right to the stud. So he put, a couple of shelves up for me. But yeah, you definitely want that blocking, because that can be really bad if it's not secured properly. And I just found out something. I wanted a toilet paper holder combination grab bar, and they do make those. So it holds the toilet paper, but there's also a handle on it. And I was just looking, because my mom's coming in the next weekend or so, and I said, I got to get that fixed, because she goes in there a lot in that half bath. And I found that on Amazon, you can order the unit and you can buy installation. So somebody's coming this next week from Amazon to install it. So I'm going to find out if he knows, it's going to have to, I'm not going to let him install it unless he knows where that blocking is.
Because so often when you grab the toilet paper, you lean on the toilet paper holder.
Right,
and
right.
Yes.
And they have like the big long ones or the curved ones, which are great, but yeah, so I mean, there are people that do that type of thing, and I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I just happen to see it's, $79 for the item, and if you want installation, it's $135 And I thought, Amazon, and how does Amazon install? But I just want to try it out to see if it's a viable option for people, because if that's the case, and they scheduled for next week, like it wasn't, I didn't have to wait a long time. So, yeah, so things like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Concerns? Yes.
This isn't a question, okay, it's not a question. But every time I've gone house hunting or condo hunting, I've wanted it to be accessible. I have a lot of friends in wheelchairs. I need it to be accessible. And I'd like the real estate community to be a little more aware so that when I call and say I'm looking for accessibility, that they really know what I mean and not, yeah, it only has 2 stairs, so that's accessible.
Right. No, I know a lot of real estate agents that are totally attuned with this aging in place, independent lifestyle design concept. So I know a woman that's a dementia specialist, and she's also a real estate agent. And yes, yeah. So sometimes real estate agents are certified aging in place specialists, because you can get your CAP certification whether you're a designer, an occupational therapist, real estate agent, you know, wallpaper hanger, I don't know, whatever you can do CAPs. You don't really need any prerequisite to have that training. It's just kind of an overall view of how to make a space accessible. It's a lot of practical, common sense knowledge. But yeah, real estate agents are getting on board with it. And Lowe's has a program for aging in place. They actually have their staff is getting trained in selling products that are designed for aging in place. So Lowe's, they're pretty forward thinking, I think, to do that. Anyone else? So my next slide is really, that's what it's all about, because you know, you want to stay active. You want to be happy in your home. You don't want to be worrying about your environment. So it's really, really important to just make your space comfortable. And that's what I tried to do for my mom. I'm like, you shouldn't have to be worrying about things at 94. You should be able to enjoy your life, get up in the morning and have your activities and your schedule and not think about those things. That's why you want like environments that are low maintenance, that are taken care of. You know, some people like to live in their homes and cut their grass, and that's great. But I think for the most part, people want to have that insurance that the environment is taken care of. And if there's a problem, they have somebody that's going to come right out and fix it for them. So, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. And take the home fit guides from AARP. Those are awesome. They just revised it for 2021. And it's got even more information in it. And it's room by room, area by area, like having a chair outside your front door or a ledge. Who would think of that? Like, come up to the front door, you're trying to fiddle with the keys, and there's a place to put the bag of groceries down. So simple tips like that are all in that guide. And I'm here if you have any other questions, concerns, if you need help with lighting. I left some flyers there too. You can email me. I like to share information with people. If they have a question, I can send that right back to you, where to find something. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.